Everybody, it's me, Professor Ali Akhtar, back with another vlog here in quarantine. Everybody has their quarantine project, so mine is to vlog all of my professional and hobbyist projects and post them on various Instagram and YouTube accounts. And so here we are back with hashtag Andalou Photography on YouTube, at Andalou Photography on Instagram. This should be on the IGTV thing, which is why my phone's vertical, because it seems to prefer vertical videos. I'll also upload this natively on Facebook on the Andalou Photography page. So in my first video, I was talking about getting started with DSLR and mirrorless photography and dusting your camera off. I recommend getting a Canon DSLR, and I'll talk about why. But amongst other reasons, it's just very easy to get the lenses and the bodies for like economical price. They're also just kind of nice and fun to use, and they have this kind of toy-like feel. They also are just very good for video. If you're making like films or music videos, check out indie900.com. That's where I post some of my videos. You can make really nice professional cinematic videos with these, just by making the video version of what I'm about to explain now with that blurry background, narrow depth of field thing, and also by setting your frames per second down to 24, which gives a kind of cinematic look, which you can also do on your laptop. But if you just do it natively on your camera, it's easier. All right, so in my first video, I talked about dusting off your DSLR or mirrorless camera, practicing getting a blurry background look by doing the following, and I'll explain the technology behind it later. But turning right to the AV mode, Aperture Priority mode, looking at the back or in your viewfinder, which is that thing you look in through here, for the different numbers, and finding the one with the F in front of it. You can see right here, there's the F4, that's your aperture, and you want to just drop that down to as low as possible. You can see that I dropped this down to 1.8, and that's kind of it, after also making sure your camera is on autofocus, AF, not MF, manual focus, and basically just kind of getting up to using your feet to get up to an object like this flower, and holding your shutter button down halfway to get the focus going, and then basically to just start taking some photos. So there's some photos. Now, one thing that I'm doing here in this video that's different from the last one is that I'm using a different lens. Now here's the kind of secret sauce to the blurry background situation, which again you can do in latest iPhones with an artificial blurry background setting. I don't believe that the latest iPhones will let you have an artificial blurry background setting for video. I could be wrong, but this is where these cameras come in very handy. You can take cinematic video. These kinds of cameras became very popular about 10 years ago amongst filmmakers because you could take cinematic video with these. It was kind of a step up from the older Canons that didn't have as high quality video capabilities. So the secret sauce here is the 50mm lens. So you can find one of these on eBay or at Best Buy for between $50 or $100, and you'd have to find the right 50mm one. But if you Google the Nifty 50 or its follow-up version, the second version of it, there's the Yongnuo company, it's a Chinese company, and there's the Canon company, which I believe makes its products in China, I could be wrong. Basically, you just swap the lenses out, and there's a little button here that you push, and you just twist towards you the lens, and you pull it off, and you bring the other lens on. And the 50mm is a fixed lens, so it won't zoom in and out. The one I had last time was what's called the kit lens. It usually comes with the camera, 18 to 55mm. The fact that this is 50 tells you that it's already kind of zoomed in already. And so there's the combination of the focal length being kind of zoomed in to begin with, that combined with the way this lens is made, where the aperture, the opening, can get a lot larger. And on the numbers side, that means that the F number can get a lot lower, to f1.8. The combination of those things allows the background to be a little bit blurrier. So the other kit lens will only go down to f4. Here it goes down to f1.8. And that sounds confusing that this smaller number here allows a larger opening. That's because the f4, f1.8 is actually 1 over that number. So just do the math. f1.4 is larger than f4. But you see it as f1.4 and f4 on your thing. It looks like it's a smaller number. So again, you are going towards the smaller number, f1.8, f1.4, and you're taking a photo here, and you're getting that blurry background. What you'll find is that the background can get so blurry that half the flower is blurry. And so this can happen in photography with portraits where you're taking a photo of somebody and there's like a kind of really narrow, by the way, this is nature doing its thing. This is a bush in the public world where the summer and some insects have been working on it. You'll find that you'll take a photo of somebody and their nose is in focus, but their ears are out of focus, something crazy like that. Or there's a major margin of error where if you don't quite get their eyes in focus, then their eyes are out of focus, their nose is in focus. If you want to kind of remove that margin of error and get a few more things in focus to make sure that a person's ears, nose, face is all in focus, or a flower, you want to make sure the entire thing is in focus, but you still want some blurry background. This is where you can raise the F number from 1.8 up to like F3, F4. And I mentioned that that's as small as those kit lenses are that come with these cameras. This is why those kit lenses still are good, because at F4, you're still getting a nice kind of blurry background. And the way you can facilitate getting that blurry background is by actually moving up closer to the object. Even if you were to look at an object in your eye, which functions like a camera, you'll find that things are blurry behind that thing that the finger you're focusing on. And likewise, you can look at something beyond your finger, and then your finger gets blurry. So the same thing works with regular old iPhones or cameras. You can facilitate that blurry background thing by getting up closer to the object. Again, most photographers will be many photographers will be running around with also a variety of cameras and hundreds of lenses. In practice, a large number of photographers, especially people running around taking street photography and street videos, they frequently will have just their one camera, and they'll have often their one lens, and it's frequently the 50 millimeter, what's called the prime lens, and they'll frequently even be in the aperture priority mode, even though they might indicate they're like, oh, they're always shooting in manual. In practice, many people are often frequently shooting in aperture priority mode. They've done what's called opening it up, drop the F number all the way down, and they're just running around using autofocus, focusing on maybe a person's eyes to make sure that their face is in focus, or a flower, and they're just kind of getting that nice little clicky sound from their DSLR that you can get from your mirrorless camera. And so that's the short answer to part 2 of how to get your blurry background photo. So part 1, turning your dial to the AV mode, aperture priority, looking at your F number, dropping it down to not F4, but F1.8, and then making your life simpler by getting a 50 millimeter prime lens for $50 or $100. But even if you don't have that lens and you have the kit lens, one of the biggest advantages of the kit lens is you don't have to actually walk up towards or away from the thing you're taking photos of, because your 18 to 55 allows you to have that zoom that you can actually frame your shot the way you want it. Obviously, you can do a lot of this after you've taken the photo and uploaded it. You can start cropping your photo, but I and many people think it's best practice to frame your photo in your camera. This way, you just have a minimal processing. It's also important to note that many people get really caught up with the technicalities of photography and the numbers and this and that, and they might just take really uninteresting and boring photos. So obviously a big part of taking a good photo, in my opinion, is getting the right moment. And so you might actually be a great moment catcher if you're like at a wedding or something. And even if there are some issues with, let's say, how you framed your photo, some focus issues, there are ways to fix that in what they call post-processing on Instagram or whatever it is. If it's a wedding and you're actually professionally taking photos for a wedding, you won't be doing that on Instagram. You'll need actually higher quality photos by turning your camera to a particular setting here to make sure that the JPEG files are at a high level, or they are RAW raw files. I'll talk more about that in another thing, but for most people, you're more likely to just kind of use your DSLR to take photos and video. This is where you just pop this into video, and taking a nice video, grabbing the SD card, sticking it in an iPhone SD adapter, uploading it into your iPhone photos, and then using iMovie to make movies out of it, or uploading it right to Instagram and having a good time. All right, so that's episode 2, or video 2, of the vlogging challenge at Andalou Photography Instagram. Losing my voice. I don't know how I teach when I don't breathe correctly. At Andalou Photography Instagram, hashtag Andalou Photography on YouTube, Andalou Photography the Facebook page, Andalou Photography, the movie, Andalou Photography, the bear, the stuffed animal. I'll see you next time.